Welcome to Earth-Centric Lighting, for everything lighting related and how to use lighting in your projects and life. Okay, guys, I'm here with Tori with JC Wright Lighting.
Hi.
She, hi Tori. And is it your last name Beamer, right? Is that how you say it?
hmm
Tori
Yep,
Beamer. Yep,
Beamer, like the
yep.
car.
Yeah, I love it. She is a specification sales at JC Wright, which is a lighting rep agency, and she is very wonderful to work with. She calls on me. I love it. And I asked her here to do the interview. So, because it seems like the lighting rep world is not a lot of people know about it. It's almost like this kind of secret world, but it's really like the backbone behind a lot of these projects and how they flow and how they go because you guys do so much. And I think it would be good for people to maybe hear that and understand that. And yeah, with that, if you want to introduce yourself and maybe tell us maybe what you do at JC Wright and
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name is Tori. So I've actually been with JC Wright for about 10 years, which is crazy. I started as a little baby answering phones and just was really fortunate to have good opportunities of a lot of people that have been in the industry for a long time and learned a lot from them and kind of grew where I'm at now. So currently in specification roles, I specifically call on designers like Travis or electrical engineers, architects, and really the rep model is you have a manufacturer that is producing products. They rely on regional sales points like myself to promote product and be a voice of assistance and promotion to local customers. It's definitely a relationship based market where I know my customers, they know me, they know how to reach me. So if it's something of a quick question or a suggestion or just needing to get further contact info, I'm kind of that resource. And while I do work very much on the preliminary side with Travis, while designers are working with end users and building plans and building some kind of model for design, specifically with lighting, my office actually takes a project from this conception point all the way through. So we have a full team of not just salespeople, but also project managers and even on control startup, like with your light switches. And as we get into commercial lighting, the heavier kind of code programming. So especially someone like me where I might talk to Travis about a project in the very early stage, I really do follow it all the way through, and I'll be in close contact with my project managers to just make sure everything is going smoothly. We handle the purchasing with distributors, and anything that goes right or wrong, we kind of really have our hands into it. So Travis is right. We're kind of this like secret little middleman a lot of times, which is fine. I don't necessarily need a plaque on every project that I do, but I like to think that designers have a lot going on and a lot of projects and a lot of phases, especially engineering firms that deal with a lot of different avenues. Lighting isn't just the only thing that they're doing. And to have someone for a quick resource where they can just double check something or ask a question, I'm here to be the expert on that and the brand. So
yeah, thank you very much for that. That's a really good explanation. You actually answered on a couple other questions that I had as well. So that was good. Uh,
cool.
but it seems like, yeah, because you guys do so much that a lot of people aren't even aware of that. And you hit so many topics I want to talk about. Like you rep different manufacturers, and just so people know, that's probably 80 different lines, maybe 100 different lines. And each of
Right.
those lines has multiple product specs. Each of those specs have different variations. So really, you're doing constant research and trying to help people find the right product, and it's a lot of work. And then your
Yeah.
point to controls, which I think is really good, is especially in Washington, Idaho, they don't care. They're like, just freaking put a
Wild
switch on
West
it.
over in
We're
Idaho.
we're right next to JC Wright's in Washington State, and we're like 45 minutes away in Idaho. Sometimes we design in both, but yes, Washington, which is really nice. JC Wright, they help out now doing startup, which I have probably the last 15 years since controls have came out. And
Mhm.
um, controls came out before that, excuse me, but since they started when I was there, because I used to work there, they started doing commissioning and startup and that type of stuff, and it's a lot of work. So your customers, I think you hit the nail on already. Explain that, but maybe explain a little bit more in depth, maybe if you could, who your customer target is, who you guys kind of service, so maybe they kind of know, because there might be, I think, engineers and architects out there that kind of just do a rough RCP and they don't even know that, there's like a service out or people that do product rep that can help out.
Yeah, for sure. So on my side specifically, those designers, that ranges from um, Travis, who does specifically lighting design for residential, commercial, but also landscape architects, municipality people, engineers, architects, interior designers, really anyone who might have some kind of influence on a project that will go into the electrical world. So we definitely blend all of the worlds together. Some project might be heavily focused on landscape, but a dear friend of mine is a landscape designer that I work with a lot, and she's been really excited to utilize us and our services because to her, it's helping accentuate her project, right? The landscape portion or murals that she's trying to highlight. It's like a little added touch. But from there, we also hit on electrical contractors, distributors, home developers, um, anyone kind of in that construction realm. We don't really advertise too much to the end user so much. Sometimes certain showroom aspects work well in that regard, but really we're kind of focused on that inner, uh, d- inner industry type of contact.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I tell architects all the time, um, they sometimes will pass off lighting to the electrical engineer, which is fine. But I tell architects when they get excited, you can have an influence. You can tell your engineer that I like this product, I like this form factor. And so for me, it's just as important to call on those architects who are really having deep conversations with the end user and have probably some of the better understandings of what the intent from the end user is. I really encourage them to really stick to what they want.
That's great. Yeah, that's good advice because I think sometimes it's really easy to just like let it, they don't understand there is a difference between, product, the right type of product that you're getting and its performance if you're picking out the right one and its design. And yeah, if they kind of just let that slide off, then it kind of can make the design not look as good.
Yeah, totally. And that's one of my biggest arguments for doing sales calls. Our office in particular, we have our manufacturers in town a lot, and not every line is appropriate for every customer, but I think it's really I try to really emphasize to my customers with like, I want you to just take 15 minutes, even if just to see the product, be able to like touch it, see the quality of it, see the actual effect that the light engine is doing. It really helps bring a good perspective and get a really good idea of the quality that can come from a product. So if we are at a point where budget is a concern and we're having to talk about VEs, we can have a little bit more ideas of being comfortable going to certain brands and not vice versa. So I always
Just,
want to push that.
yeah, that's great. And just for those listening who aren't aware, VEs is value engineer. So that means like if the project is priced too high and you want value engineer it, but there's like a difference between like let's say someone's putting a downlight that's 2000 lumens and it's been spec'd out and it's like $500. We're like, oh, that's too much. Let's try to find something that's like 149 or 180 that does the same thing versus where someone might come in and try to put in a wafer light in place that's not going to do the same thing. So it's kind of important
Right.
to work with the same people that you're working with that know the design and like the product rep or the lighting designer to make sure that you're getting the same, yeah, maybe it's not this level of what we want, but it's going to be this level. It's going to help save us a lot of money.
Exactly. And
Yeah, go
go
ahead.
ahead. Okay,
Uh,
I'll finish.
yeah,
Um, Well, and to that point too, it's why I prefer to be so involved on when a project is going through those bid budgeting portions, even though technically my job is more on the preliminary side. I have an idea usually of the intent of the project. And so to be able to kind of have my hands in a situation that might call for some of those budget cutting, I can really help be that point person of, well, this angle was very specific because of a size of a beam that we were trying to light. And if we go any wider or smaller, it would affect the intent that the architect's going with. So yeah, totally agree to your point. It's we're here, we're a sales firm, but our whole job is to just make sure that the product and the project goes as smoothly as possible. And we really pride ourselves in our office, from salespeople and project managers, to just be as detailed orientated as possible. All my PMs will do what we call takeoffs, where we're going through the whole plan set and we're recounting, we're re-verifying all of our ceiling heights and compatibility of the actual application versus the product. So we really want to be that good QC process, to make sure that everything is ironed out before things are purchased and produced.
and that's such an awesome point because I think a lot of people, even because I've been in the rep side and I've been in the distribution side. Sometimes the distribution contractor, they do a lot, but they don't understand that everything you just described. And so they're like, well, why do you need all this? Let's just substitute it out for something. And then all of a sudden, this owner who just spent like $100,000 on the design, which is tons of design labor, thinks they're getting the same thing, but they're not. And then all
Yeah,
of a sudden, so it's like important to kind of, there's a lot of work behind the scenes that people don't see. That's why it's good to get this voice out there. I feel like to show them that it's pretty important for the design, and lighting has a huge effect on the look and feel in the space architecture. I
definitely. And it's functional, right? Like we need it in order to
Yeah,
function in our space.
absolutely. I do kind of want to change topics to a little bit to something like um because I know that you're up and up with a lot of the new technology, having been with those uh 80 different lines, 100 different lines. They're showing you the new stuff. What's some of the new technology advancements in lighting that you guys are seeing or ones in
Yeah,
the future?
controls are always such a big topic. I think it's becoming more and more prevalent in a lot of markets. So just integration of talking to one another, kind of more smart fixtures, um, using Bluetooth connections where if someone walks into a space and it's programmed where the whole space is going to kind of act as one. As someone walks under a fixture, everything else is going to pop on, or different scenes and circadian rhythms also quite big, and just like the study of how light color and light potency affects our productivity and our perspective. We just picked up a company called BIOS that was has been in the industry for a while, providing LED components to other manufacturers. It actually came from a gentleman working with NASA, producing fixtures for space shuttles to help people get their circadian rhythm on lock. And so now they have a really slick fixture that can be like recessed surface, whatever. It kind of looks like a little cloud. And it is at a specific frequency and wavelength of light, that hits that rhythm range for us, to keep us more calm and alert and stable. We see that a lot in special needs rooms and schools, being able to have tunable color changing and set scenes for different activities, such as like high energy time versus relaxation time or mood calming time. So playing with not only formations and functions and mounting types, but also how can we bend the technology and use the technology to our advantage in everyday life. And the idea that we don't have to have like the same setting all day, we can make it be flexible to whatever we're doing.
That's that's great. Yeah, man, you hit so many points there that I feel like they're good to talk about. But I do want to, from that, I'll probably come back to it, but from the end there to that point, is there a lot of projects that you guys are like in hospital, schools, other spaces where that productivity is really and rest is really important? Are you starting to specify a lot more tunable white fixtures that are controllable throughout that space?
Yeah, we are. It has its challenges though, because a lot of times, especially in very public places like a school, the conversation comes down to how do you keep the end user very aware of the technology at their fingertips and how to utilize it. Um, some people don't like touch screens, some people do, some people don't like push button wall stations. And also, a new teacher might be in this room every single month. So, we've been kind of talking about different ways that we can collaborate that to make it more friendly because I think there is a little bit of a pushback of it's just too hard or we're never going to use it, so we're going to just be more standard. But seeing a lot more in healthcare, I see a lot of kind of mental detox type of areas, and they are utilizing tunable white in therapy rooms or calming rooms is really quite popular. I've been seeing a lot of calming rooms in the office spaces, which I'm very much for. Be able to
Nice.
go in there and be like, I want a 27K, very
Yeah.
warm time. So,
Well, it is hard because I even see that on the residential side where it's like we have the kickoff meeting. They're like, yeah, we
mhm,
want tunable white. And then all of a sudden, when it's all said and done, they want to change it all to static white. Well, hold on.
mhm.
I got to change the whole fixture schedule now. You know, that's
Yeah,
fine. But I think if it is more money, but if you have the money, I do believe it is worth it in investing it because to your point, I'm going to say this a lot on this podcast when I do these interviews because it's so important. I think, the last 300,000 years, we as human beings have evolved to the rising and the setting of that sun. And when it rises, it's at 1800, 2700K, even redder sometimes when it first comes up. That's what starts telling our body it's time to wake up. And that sets those photons, that light that goes in, is what sets our body. It's time to start producing low levels of cortisol and adrenaline to get our bodies up and moving. And that sets our clock and starts this buildup for when it's evening, it's going to be time to go to bed. And when that sun's in the middle of the day, it's when we're most alert and productive. And that's that really white, 10,000K or 6,000, 8,000K, whatever the fixture's capability is going up to. And we're not outside all day long. So if you can supplement it with electric light, even the astronauts are realizing they know how important it is. It's like taking a supplement. If you can get outside, daylight is 100% best thing for you. But if you can align your lighting and your electric light to your circadian rhythm, that's going to really help out because the electrical light bulb was only invented 150 years ago, and people aren't aware how much light affects our body, the way we think and feel. So I think it's like
right.
the best thing for you besides even more so than diet, I would think so.
Yeah, and the it's not terribly more expensive to go to tunable white from static white. And on the control side, we have a console in our office in our conference room that is capable of it. And I really like showing people the console because it's a touch screen and there's preset scenes, which can be done from installers as well as end users. But you can create your own scenes that are total custom wording. We have them pretty simple where it's like AV mode, where if we're going to have a meeting, it dims the lights to a certain point and it puts the lights at a certain color. But you could have a party function or a cooking function and just more education, I think, to people that aren't consumed in this world like you and I are every day, what their options are. Because I think it's like a little bit of analysis paralysis of what do I do? And I've been thinking about in my field too, of like, what are some like good custom settings where maybe if an end user didn't know exactly what they wanted, but they liked the idea and was willing to invest in the idea of tunable white, how can we give them these just really basic programming control sequences to get them started while also teaching them how to use the technology if they do choose to revise, change, or add anything?
I wonder, yeah. And then a lot of this stuff, when it is the tunable white, it automatically adjusts throughout the day, correct? It's not something that have to over ha program it to do every day, right?
It can be either or. You have functions that will change throughout the day, but then you can have ones that are just super manual. I think what we have in our conference room is manual, where we get to pick whatever we want and we change it when we want it.
Okay. Yeah. I think I like the idea, but again, it's always up to the end user and like local energy codes, which I don't think tunable white is not in energy codes yet in any of the even the serious states or municipalities, but I do like the ability where it changes automatically with manual override. Seems like
Hmm.
then you're not having to mess with it and then you can
Yeah.
do it. But yeah, and then that's another good reason why you use a rep because they're going to support their product if something's going wrong with the product. And then and you guys are based in territory, so you can service that territory for the controls and make sure, see what's
Right.
going on, troubleshoot it, and fix it. You know, that way it's working correctly and that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
After the commissioning process and all that goes down, and um, I know, and your guys' main one is sensor switch and Nlight, right? Correct?
Yes, yeah. Our extension of from Acuity Brands.
Yeah, yeah, that's a pretty big commercial powerhouse for controls.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
quite
awesome.
the workhorse.
Uh-huh.
But also ETC, which is a great theatrical integration company, both on the fixture and control side. They have a whole division called EchoFlex that is a that we're trying to introduce more into our market. Very similar to Enlight, more kind of design build friendly, but
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought mostly ETC was more for theatrical, and then they had their own controls that service that. But sounds like they're branching out to have their own
mhm.
control line. Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great. How about what are some, gonna change topics here again. What are some common misconceptions that you see a lot with LED and that you hear from your clients?
Yeah, from what I hear from end users specifically, the misconception of brightness versus color temperature, especially people
Totally.
that really lived in the fluorescent days for a long time. I get it all the time of like, I don't want these lights, they're too bright, but really they're looking at something that's like 50K in in a living room or something. So that's probably the biggest one I see.
Yeah, I think one that I hear that once out there is like blue light is bad for you.
Oh,
Do you guys hear that?
interesting.
Do you guys hear that very often? You guys probably hear it in
I
the nighttime friendly.
sure, yeah. I guess I can see that because the blue light that emits from a computer, they have like the blue light filters and glasses, but I don't know if that's necessarily the same on a fixture. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is. I think there's some misconception. Like it's the time of day in which you get the blue light. Just like the sun, we
Mm,
want it in the middle of the day. We want the warm 3000 K because it's calming at night. Yeah, if you have blue
sure.
light in your house, bright 5000, 6000 K at nighttime, it's all up. You're going to be more productive. Like, why can't I sleep?
Yeah, exactly. Right. But there's a reason for everything, right? That's why we see that kind of color temperature in like industrial areas or manufacturing. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely not needed. Another thing we see a lot, especially in government agencies, is control systems and sometimes LEDs, the fear that it is advanced enough for people to hack into
Mm.
their facilities through the light fixtures, which I don't think that's possible going into just like an LED board. And on the control side, it's tried and tested of there's a lot of like networking where that's really, really secure. It's just kind of a simple Bluetooth connection between devices, and it's
Yeah.
not really possible to break into software
Yeah.
system.
Right. That's good to know. I didn't even think about that. That was a
Yeah.
possibility. I guess other people try to figure out ways to hack into systems.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, never say never. So
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, well, that's great. I think that's mostly the questions I had for you. Is there anything else that you want to add that's maybe on you're thinking about to help people understand what it is that you guys do or some
um,
services you guys offer?
yeah, just kind of what we're touching on earlier is it's really important for us and our agency that we do the best job on our projects as possible. So, one of the things that sometimes we get pushback from is timelines of uh, when someone's really hot to order something or get something on site. Of course, we want to meet their on-site delivery time, but when we are asking for grace for 2 days just to make sure the BOM is all good and final, um, that's where I wish we would get more grace because we're not just dragging our feet and not doing anything on the project. We're actually really taking the time to make sure things are fine. And so sometimes that gets to be a bit of a disruption and a butting of heads, or people think that we take a lot of control in the project or we want to control the project when it's just simply I tell all my new employees, like, we want to do such a good job that no one's actually calling you. Maybe calling you to like say hi or ask for your opinion, but I don't want any bad calls. So,
Because they think that it's just magically appears. But I've worked in the lighting rep industry and I know everything's getting double checked, triple checked, quadruple checked,
mhm.
because those who don't know, the part number is like a mile long, and one part number that's wrong, that could be a $40,000 mistake. So everything's
Yeah.
getting looked at, and then they got to make it. They're checking the mounting type, the sealing type, make sure this is it, the finish is right. All that stuff
Mhm.
plays a huge factor in what you're calling out, specifying.
Totally. And another cool thing I think about the rep world is for the most part, it's a lot of them are small businesses and locally owned. So you're definitely going through the appropriate channels. You're definitely supporting kind of that local economy, really. Our agency is a family-owned agency for, my gosh, 50 years. That's
Yeah.
crazy. And that's pretty true to a lot of agencies around the world. And for me, it's been a wonderful industry where I kind of grew up in the industry and learned as I go. And I'm very fortunate to just have a career out of it. And then I'm not the only one. We have many people in our office that have started at the like wee age of 20 and with enough gumption and willingness to learn, it really gave them a really fruitful career. So supporting reps like us definitely helps support people local in your
Yeah.
community.
I was one of those people too.
You were, you're right.
Did you work
Yeah.
at the express desk sales too? Did you
Yep, I
manage
did.
that? That's where I started, and that was like
Yeah.
all the stuff that no one else wanted to deal with. So you had to learn everything super quickly, and it
Yes.
just was like just this dump of all this information. I think I was
You learned
dreaming.
really quick though.
You do. I was like dreaming, going to bed and dreaming Lithoni part number CL1N L40. Like,
Yeah, I'm
it's
forever
pretty funny.
grateful for my productivity from that desk because there
Yeah.
was, you could not be productive.
I know it seems like the calls were endless. It was like, oh my
Yes.
gosh.
If I'm not on a call, I'm writing an email, or I'm in a
Yeah.
quote. It was all day, every day.
Yeah.
But
And then I remember go to ask controls people control question. I'm like, they're working on big projects. So I'm like, all right, I just got to figure this out myself. And then I learned controls. I learned a lot of the technical
yeah,
stuff. It was really cool.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
how I got into doing photometrics because I was such a
Same
small
here.
fish, right?
Yeah,
No one could take the time to do my photometrics. So I just was like, well, you know
totally.
what? I'm going to learn how to do it myself.
Dude, I did the exact same thing. I taught myself. Yes. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's good.
Hmm.
That's like when you're put in the fire, you kind of just got to learn.
It's
Yeah,
true.
that's a good spot. I like
Yeah.
it.
Well,
That's
thank you
cool.
so much for having
Yeah,
me today, Travis. This
you're
was really
welcome.
fun.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time. And normally, when I have a guest, I ask them if they want to tell people how to reach out. I know you guys are
Oh,
strictly territory service based. Do you want to give out
yeah.
that information, or do you want to just stick with the customers that you got? Or
I'll just stick with the customers I got.
okay,
Yeah, we don't
that sounds
really do
good.
too much advertising. I'm sure if there's people in the area that
They know who
will
JC
watch
Wright
this,
is.
yeah, they'll know how to find me.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, you guys can just search them and you guys serve the Eastern Washington, North Idaho area.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds good. Well, yes, thank you very much, Tori. I appreciate you taking the time. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure's all mine, sir. No, this is
Yeah.
really, really cool. And it's cool to have a platform talking about this kind of work too.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I think it's needed.
Definitely.
Okay, guys, thank you for tuning into the show. That's it for my interview with Tori, with JC Wright, the lighting rep. I hope you guys got some information out of that you can use. Um, again, this Earth-centric lighting podcast is uh, more of like a hobby here, aside to help educate people on all things about light, um, everything to do with lighting. So if you're wanting to get on the show, you have something to say. Maybe you study color, maybe you're a neurotherapist, uh, or study neurology or ophthalmology or your cosmology or even anything like that. Maybe you're a designer and you want to talk about lighting, we'd love to have you on. And for those of you who are looking for help with lighting design, we do have our actual company, which is TK Lighting Design, and you can reach out to me there within the show notes. And we won't put Tori's contact info on there since they're just um, territory based. But if you're in the North Idaho area or Eastern Washington, feel free to search JC Wright. And that's it. Thank you guys.